Hello, and welcome back to What We Pod in the Shadows, where we are currently discussing Season 2 of What We Do in the Shadows. I'm Raven.
And I'm Alison.
This week we are going to be discussing the episode Witches, but before we get into that, just a friendly reminder to leave us a review or a comment if you haven't already. It would be super helpful for the growth of the show if we got more feedback, and we might read your reviews or comments on the show. And of course, if you haven't followed or subscribed to us yet, depending on what platform you're listening to us on, that would be super cool as well. And yeah, basically just hit all those buttons for us.
And we have another podcast called Mojo Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. If you want to check us out, reviewing some animated shows, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and the original Powerpuff Girls series. And we're currently on season 3 of the Powerpuff Girls.
And we do occasionally talk about some vampire stuff on there too, if you're looking for more of that.
So this is season 2, episode 2, Witches. Guillermo now has a day off each week and a 15-minute break every 4 hours. He is questioning his career choice and showed how he made one huge blood removal stick. It's kind of deodorant sized out of many Tide pens. Nandor wants a house meeting, but no one wants to fetch Laszlo, who is cutting apples off one of his trees. Laszlo hears a voice saying his name, and a goat appears. Laszlo is swallowed up in swirling purple wind and light and flown up into the sky. The voice says, "The ceremony awaits." Nadja says witches have taken him, and Nandor says Nadja blames everything on witches.
They all search the garden for Laszlo. Nadja tries to get Guillermo to help, but because he's on a break, he says it's not in his job description, and also it involves Laszlo and not Nandor, I guess. Nandor calls out and is like, "Laszlo, did you fall down a hole again?" He runs into the goat, and he coos over it, and Nadja's like, "No, don't, it's witches." But he doesn't listen, and is also captured. And then Guillermo's like, "Oh shit, this actually is part of my job description." And he drives Nadja and Colin Robinson after the witches, who we can see flying in the night sky on their brooms. Nadja tries to take control of the wheel from Guillermo to go after the witches and Nandor and Laszlo, but nearly crashes the car. They follow the witches to an aromatherapy store, and Nadja says it smells like beef and sulfur. She doesn't want to go in or call in, and is like, they need to get an ordinary schlub instead. And Guillermo's like, "Fine, I'll do it." And she's increasingly sort of insulting about this type of ordinary person they would need. And so Guillermo kind of just cuts her off. Guillermo is distracted by the witch in the aromatherapy store who massages his head and temples and stuff. Nadja thinks she's trying to squeeze his head. Nadja and Colin watch from outside when the goat appears again and makes them vanish.
Guillermo is taken into a back room. Nandor and Laszlo are tied up, and many witches are in a circle around a fire. The camera crew is spotted and allowed in. Guillermo is put in a huge room full of doors to other dimensions with Nadja and Colin. The witches play music and bring out incense. Nandor and Laszlo start to enjoy themselves. The other group keeps trying all the doors, but have yet to find the exit. The witches want to begin the extractions and bring out medieval surgical tools and return to their true old and wrinkly forms. Guillermo finds a door marked exit in Spanish, Saluda, and it leads to the ceremony with the witches and Nandor and Laszlo.
Nadja confronts the witches. Colin takes credit for finding the exit, and the witches are like, "You're very smart. We're going to extract your semen too." Because that's what they went them for. He sees the creepy tools though, and he's like, "Actually, that was Guillermo." And Guillermo's like, "No habla inglés." Nadja wants to attack the witches, but then the head witch, Lilith, shows up and pins Nadja to the wall with her witchy powers. Nadja says that she and Lilith used to be friends until Lilith did something unforgivable, and now they're sworn enemies. Lilith wants to use the vampire semen to make anti-aging spells for her coven. Lilith stole some from Laszlo months before by pretending to be Nadja. She shows Nadja her Nadja disguise, which is a skinnier, curvier woman who looks nothing like Nadja except for her hair and makeup. Laszlo says from there he can't tell the difference. He says she'll have to raise her hand so he can tell who's talking. Nadja gets mad because they're clearly different people. They just have long dark hair, and Laszlo has apparently slept with several people with long dark hair and an accent, including Nandor, thinking they were Nadja. Get your eyes checked, my dude.
I think none of the men, Nandor and Colin included, were able to tell them apart. They will be able to use the semen to stay youthful longer and make magnets. I don't understand the magnets.
No, I didn't either.
Guillermo steps in and says he can get an unlimited supply of their semen in exchange for 3% of their profits. He calls it Memo's man milk. They get home and the goat has trashed their house. Guillermo makes a delivery of semen to the witch store and talks to Black Peter the goat. He complains about doing all their dirty work and wanting to be made a witch. So he's kind of like their version of Guillermo, where he's just doing the crap work and wants to be turned into a witch.
Mm-hmm.
And they just keep stringing him along.
I mean, I guess I don't have I sort of have trivia for the episode. Some of the guests. Lilith, who is played by Lucy Punch. You may recognize her from A Series of Unfortunate Events, the Netflix one, where she did play Esme Squalor. And then the goat Black Peter is voiced by Peter Frang.
Peter who?
Not Peter Frang. James Frang. The fella.
Don't know who that is.
I think it's...
I mean, it's fine if I don't know who it is, but you acted like I would know who that was. I do recognize Lilith.
This guy.
Oh, okay. 40.
Yes. I couldn't think of what the film was called.
He's almost always a bad guy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like Spock's dad or something, though, isn't he?
Yeah, now he plays Spock's dad.
I like that Guillermo has a day off and that he's taking breaks and that he's kind of being like sassy about it.
Yeah.
I like that he got money, like a deal with the witches. I don't know if it's really ever brought up again, but I say that all the time and then 2 episodes go by and then the subject is brought up again. So
yeah.
Because I mean the vampires are not paying him and they're like charging him rent and crap, so he needs some sort of income. Not really sure what I would have liked the witches to have done in this episode, but just the whole thing was just kind of silly, I guess.
Yeah.
I liked the big room with all the doors to like different dimensions. I mean, there was like kind of some different, I guess, interesting ideas, like with the goat and stuff, but I don't know.
I like that Guillermo thought that his deodorant stick of Tide Pens was like a Shark Tank worth.
Yeah, I mean, he really just didn't invent anything. He just made it larger.
Yeah.
Which was probably helpful for him, but...
He does get covered in blood a lot.
I'm not even sure if Tide Pen... Like, I've never used a Tide Pen, if it's even useful for blood or not.
I don't know either.
These ladies, well, I don't know. Because they were going to take Colin. Do they need vampire semen?
I'm not sure.
Or is it just any semen?
Maybe, like, since they're immortal and shit, it's more, like, powerful or potent than, like, regular.
I guess I could see that. Like, they were gonna accept Colin because they thought he was super smart. I'm just thinking they could just have some male familiars that they collect semen from.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know. Probably many other vampires that they could approach about it too, I guess, but...
Yeah. It seems like there are, like, a shit ton in New York.
And then Lilith, and I know you said that she had, I guess, slept with Laszlo because she was disguised and he thought she was Naja, but they had been friends. She had like a shop with makeup and clothing or something. Wasn't that how they knew each other? I'm not sure why Naja and Laszlo were married.
Yeah.
Because he was like totally into whatever the witches were gonna do to extract the semen. And kept telling Nadja just stay far away until they brought out their like torture devices. And then she's like cavorting with Gregor every time he's reincarnated. Maybe she was even with that guy's name from the Nick Kroll character. I feel like maybe they were a thing. I don't know.
Perhaps.
So I'm just like, and then all his pornos.
Yeah.
This sort of doesn't make sense, but I don't know. Episode 10 is, I'm not sure, Nouveau Theater des Vampires?
Yeah. And that'll be the last episode of season 2, and then I guess we'll be moving on to the third season, because these seasons are just like super short.
Yes.
So thank you so much for listening. And again, if you haven't already, give us a review or a comment, depending on what platform you're listening on. If you enjoyed the pod, and we might read it on the show. But yeah, I guess that's all we have to say. So until next time, remember, you're dead and out of this world. Goodbye.
Goodbye.